Hey guys, what's up? It's munclesonkey. It has been a while, but we're going to be doing another testing video, and this one is going to be Seismics versus Noxious staff. Thanks to many of you for suggesting tier 92H versus dual wield, and I did do that before, but I was not using the magic abilities correctly, and I wanted to fix that and fully test these two weapons against each other, and we're going to be doing that in this video. So before we get into it, here's the gear that I was using during the entirety of this video, the exact same gear for both styles, and I was pretty much using the same ability rotation as well. I was trying to use the Metamorphosis ability as much as possible for both styles and trying to do as best of the DPS that I could for both of the dual wield mage and the 2H mage. Also, as a final disclaimer, if you are a higher tier PVMer, you obviously know that Seismics are going to be better for you in your situation, so this video is more geared towards what is going to be better for people who are not really into bosses such as Virago and stuff like that, where the Seismics are really useful to the ability to use a shield and cast vulnerability faster, stuff like that. More players that are maybe a little bit more casual and truly don't know which out of these two weapons is the better buy for stuff like Slayer or lower tier PVM. So to effectively test out these weapons, what I needed is a monster with high HP so I could fully take advantage of the Metamorphosis ability, which I am using because it provides more damage than Sunshine, even though probably in most cases Sunshine is going to be better for Slayer. I just wanted to see some of those high hits, and also I needed a monster with some defense as well so that the Nox staff could take advantage of its special ability, which is the Sonic Wave, which provides an accuracy bonus to your next ability used, which is one of the main advantages that the Nox staff has over Seismics. Obviously, Seismics have their own advantages as well, and I settled on Calgarian Demons. They have really high HP, they do have some pretty good defense as well. You're not going to hit every single time, even with tier 90 mage, although I'm hitting most of the time. I did splash occasionally, and also I made sure not to use an Ice Nihil or not to use the Supreme Runic Accuracy Aura, because either of those things would have made me so accurate that I wouldn't have really been able to use Sonic Wave, and then the Noxious staff would not have that advantage. And obviously it would be a little bit difficult to test these out on bosses, because bosses are just very variable sometimes with the way their mechanics work, and it would take many hours of bossing to get a even somewhat accurate test between these two weapons. However, I can say that the Sonic Wave ability from the Noxious staff is extremely helpful at bosses such as Rise of the Six is probably the best example, where it gives you an accuracy bonus to the next hit, and it's just very good. So I decided to do half an hour of Calgarians with the Nox staff, half an hour with Seismics. I was on Slayer task with both of these, so I was on Slayer task the entire time with both the Nox staff and the Seismics, and for the first test, which was the Noxious staff, I got 122k Slayer XP in half an hour, which I thought was really impressive. Not only is that insane Slayer XP, but you gotta remember, I wasn't using the Ice Nihil, and I also was not using Supreme Runic Accuracy Aura, so if I was using those two things, just imagine how insanely ridiculous the Slayer XP of this task is. It's crazy. So now we go into test number 2, which is the Seismics, and I personally had high hopes for the Seismics. I just recently bought myself some because I've been getting really into bomb tanking Virago, and using Seismics for bomb tanking is a significant improvement over what I was using earlier, which was the Sagi, and unfortunately you cannot use Noxious staff for bomb tanking Virago. It just doesn't work, so you kind of have to have Seismics for that, and that's why I bought them. So they are worth it to me. They are worth it for people who do that higher level PVM and need them for stuff. But this test isn't about higher level PVM and bosses and stuff like that. This test is about doing deeps at your standard fare of monsters who might have some pretty decent defense to show off, seeing how good that Sonic Wave really pans out. So the Seismics, one thing I made sure to do this time is I made sure to ability cancel the Concentrated Blast every time, and that's what you want to do with the Seismics, because it's better than making the Concentrated Blast use its full effect and hit all 3 times. What you want to do is use the ability and then just queue up another ability, and the Concentrated Blast will hit 2 times and you'll get a significant amount of damage. It's roughly the same amount of damage as using the Sonic Wave from the 2H, and that way it also builds your adrenaline faster and you don't have to wait for that 3rd hit to go. And also I was making sure to use Metamorphosis as often as possible. Metamorphosis is really good, by the way. If you haven't tried it out, make sure to try it out as much as possible, because it does more damage than Sunshine. So especially when you're killing some of those bosses, you can get your thresholds off inside that Metamorphosis and hit really hard. If you're fast, you can use both Wild Magic and Asphyxiate while you are under the effects of Metamorphosis, so make sure to do that. Also, one thing I forgot to mention with the Noxious staff is I was making sure to use Sonic Wave before every threshold. There were a couple thresholds that I missed, but for the most part, almost every single threshold had Sonic Wave used before I used the threshold, just to make sure I was taking advantage of that accuracy bonus and make sure that those thresholds were hitting because those are, for the most part, your best damaging abilities. Alright, so I had high hopes that the Seismics would pan out, and even though that they don't have the accuracy bonus, and I was splashing the thresholds, I guess, a little bit more often than I was with the Noxious staff, we ended up getting slightly less kills with the Seismics. So 65 kills versus the 67 that I got with Noxious staff. Really not that big of a difference, to be completely honest. So it looks like, for most part, for most intensive purposes, Seismics are roughly the same as the Noxious staff is in terms of Slayer. Now, they both have their advantages and disadvantages. Both of them are more useful at certain areas than others, and it would take a really long time to get into all of that. But the main thing that I want to test out is just purely for Slayer. Is there one that's significantly better than the other? And it looks like, for the most part, no. I imagine the only reason that the Noxious staff got a couple more kills was just because I was a slightly bit more accurate than it, and also just 2 more kills in half an hour really isn't that much in the grand scheme of things. It looks like, for the most part, they're fairly even, but the main thing that I was shocked by it, I came away from this test, is just how much Slayer XP I got in such a short amount of time. This is only half an hour, folks. Over 120k Slayer in half an hour. That's ridiculous, and I normally use an Ice Nihil here. I just wasn't, to make the Noxious staff maybe a little bit better with its Sonic Wave, so this is an insanely crazy good Slayer XP task, so I'm definitely excited about this one. I put this one on Prefer immediately after making this video. So anyway, that's about all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Make sure to leave down in the comments what else you would like me to test, because I think these testing videos are kind of fun. And also leave how you would like me to test it, because that would be very, very helpful if you did that as well. I personally will be working on Virago. This is why I bought the Seismics for the Condemned to PVM series. Hopefully I can find some teams during the Purple Bomb week, which doesn't sound like it's as hard as I thought it would be. And also, there's a link to my Twitter down in the description. If you would like a chance to win a bond, feel free to check that out, and I will be tweeting out how you can do that. I'll be giving away a couple until Christmas rolls around, just to celebrate the season. So that's about all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Farewell.